Yeah, it's been a little while since I posted a video to Vloggerheads, so I figured it was time. I've been watching videos. I like the little Van Gogh video. That was nice. And, simple. Simple always works. Morphine, the space garbage video. It's good stuff. But anyway, alright, the video I'm going to respond to is Vital Finds. I don't like her rhetorics much. It's just this classic kind of definition of economy, and I don't think these words work. I mean, saying what's rich, I mean, yeah, obviously the definition should be what's too rich, what's unproductively wealthy, what's socially good and what's socially bad. But I especially don't like this entrepreneur word, especially when it's used in the context of wealth, because most wealth, not just income, but most wealth is held by people who inherit it. Okay, I mean, we're still living with Rothschild fortunes out there. The Rockefellers, all the Kennedys, all that money's still out there. Right, not in the hands of people who did something. They didn't do any work. Okay, so this notion that the only wealthy people are people who deserved it, who did something socially productive, is kind of lame. And also, I'd also argue that even the analogy of, when you look at the stock market, yes, some of the players are illegitimate players playing illegitimate games, but even the legitimate game of, let's stockpile a few million, a few $100 million in there and just dole it out to our spawn, our kin, and they'll live off of that. And so that's the expectation, that money keeps growing. That's the expectation, is that somehow surplus, just its mere existence, should earn somebody a living. Okay, just having a big pile of money, somehow that money should earn you money. It should be doing work somehow. Money doesn't do any work, all right? And if it doesn't, if it's not sitting in one person's hands, it's going to be somewhere else in the economy. All right, work gets done because there's demand for the service. That's what creates jobs. Demand creates jobs, not rich people. Demand. All right, and demand's going to be served. And if the money is in the hands of the working people, then they're more likely to serve that demand and do it in innovative and productive ways. And this isn't to say that I'm anti big corporation. I mean, I think there's some businesses, some infrastructure businesses that require one player, like a gas company or an electric company. I mean, it's kind of stupid to have competing companies, spend fortunes on the same hardware. It also would make our lives incredibly inconvenient. I mean, it's why we don't have private roads all over the place, because it would be plain stupid. Okay, it'd be a waste of money. And corporations can do a lot of that if they're not regulated. They'll compete with each other just based on fortunes, and they'll play games that are neither productive for themselves or for the people in the economy, because they end up playing games that are unsustainable. And then you end up with too much stuff at one point and then too little the next. It's, feast or famine, and it's just not the way to run a railroad. But this whole notion that people who are rich somehow earned it is just nonsense. Most wealth is not held by those people. And even those people, we can all sit there and say, okay, yes, no human being has done anything, that merits him being any more than a few hundred times richer than the rest of us, or a few thousand times maybe at the most richer. But we don't need billionaires. We don't even need multi-millionaires. It's just nonsense. We don't need those carrots in the game. We don't need a lottery. I mean, an economy shouldn't be based on lottery psychology. Like, yeah, I'm going to pull the right lever on the right machine at the right time and be a billionaire. I mean, it's nonsense. I mean, even Bill Gates' fortune is basically, he didn't invent a cure for polio. He figured out how to screw IBM and rent them an operating system, because IBM had no confidence in the personal computer. So they just wanted any old operating system, and so they just went for the cheapest they could get, and they rented one from Bill Gates, who bought it from somebody else cheap. And that's how he made his friggin' money. And it was all extortion after that. There was nothing creative in what Microsoft did, unless you want to call annihilating anything that looked like competition for 10 years, creativity and innovation. I mean, nonsense. We've just been extorted. We've been required to pay way too much for something because he's allowed to own a copyright on it. A copyright on a basic piece of infrastructure. It's like allowing somebody to copyright the round wheel. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's a lot of those kind of copyrights floating around out there. Copyrights that aren't socially productive and have nothing to do with any individual needing to get more rewards for what they've created or done. I'm all for copyrights, but copyright should have a limit on it. When you've made your fortune, then that's the end of your copyright. It's not that complicated, and this whole idea of passing it down generation to generation and business to business is just nonsense. There's so many. Wealth is the problem. The rich are the problem. This economy is going to crash because the richest 5% of the people in the world are going to try to extract real dollars out of these economies. They're going to say, my money's worth real money. It's not the fake borrowed money. You know, they're basically going to own this world 3 years from now. Because everything is going to be deflation first, and after that there's going to be huge inflation, because everything that means anything that has any real value is going to be bought, and you're not going to have any money to do the buying. So guess who is going to do the buying? So anyway, the rich are evil. We don't need them. They're a waste. Most wealth, like I said, just encourages. It's held by people who never did a day's bit of work in their life. That's where most wealth is. It's not earned and it's not deserved. It's stupid policy. It's insane policy to celebrate that kind of crap. Yeah, I was born to the right family. We should reward that. Now, I think we're a little smarter than that. We're smart enough to see past birthrights. It's nonsense, and it's certainly nonsense as social policy. You might get into that my family's better than your family crap as some sort of personal psychological rubbish, but it means nothing when we're going to talk about what's good for a whole society of 7 billion people and what's going to encourage people to be as productive as possible. You want to make them productive, then give them realistic opportunities. Don't steal 3/4 of the value of their work and give it to 5% of the people. That's ludicrous. So anyway, enough said. Enough of a rant. Haven't been here in a while. Enough ranting. No, that's all. I'm not going to push it because nobody gets it anyway. Everybody's a nepotist. Everybody really does think their kids are better than other kids and that they have some right to give their kids head starts in the race. They all think that makes sense. And that's why the world's a piece of shit. It's because no one understands it's not going to get better until we think like a society and quit thinking like individuals. You stupid fools.